Hey you guys, Mark Daniels Jr. I'm here at the Potomac River, and I didn't forget about you guys on Lake Chickamauga. I got my recap. It's gonna be kind of all over the place, but we're gonna go through it best as we can. You know, that was predominantly an offshore type of tournament. Ledges, underwater points, underwater creek channels, things of that nature. I kind of did a combination of things. I fished out deep some on day one, and then I also fished shallow. The shallow bite is what ended up ultimately prevailing and what allowed me to finish in 28th place and cut a really nice check. So as always, I'm gonna talk about some baits and techniques, areas of the lake that I fished, and give you guys some insight on that. Day one, I started just south of the nuclear power plant, very popular area. There's an underwater creek channel that came out and made a nice little point on it, and me and Adrian Avina actually shared it together on day one. And what I ended up doing is I got on the southwest corner of it, and I was able to fire this around. This is a Magnum trick worm in red buck color. Anywhere on the Tennessee River, in my short experience, this bait is catching them. And it was no different at Lake Chickamauga. I put some really key fish in a boat with this bait right here. As the day kind of progressed, even on that spot, a couple more boats came in, the pressure really set in. You know, you got baits flying all over the place. And what I did, I don't have it set up here to show you guys, but what I did was I dropped down to a drop shot. I used a robo worm in the pink color Morning Dawn, and I had a little tungsten 1/4 ounce weight, and I went all the way down to 8-pound Seaguar Tatsu line. And I really think that was key, because even when all the boats came in, I got 3 more key bites on that drop shot that really helped jump me up into that 18-pound mark, which is what I weighed on day one. And I think that was really key. The light line, just making that subtle difference and getting those couple key bites. Day two, you know, I went back and I started on that same spot, and there were no boats there. And for a good reason, there weren't any fish there either. I don't know what happened, if the school just got broken up, the fishing pressure got to them or what, but I couldn't get bit there. And so I wound up resulting to my shallow fish that I found in practice. And I was catching my shallow fish on a couple different baits. The first one was the same green pumpkin chatterbait, man. I mean, you know, Brett Hyatt has kind of showed us the way with this thing here, man. Green pumpkin imitates a bluegill, great. And this particular trailer, Lake Fork Magic Shad, works really good for me. And I caught a lot of good fish at Lake Chickamauga that week on this green pumpkin chatterbait. Matter of fact, my biggest fish of the tournament, one over 5 pounds, come on this chatterbait right here. Fishing shallow, and the key was to find areas that had hydrilla adjacent to these big round sand beds, is the best way I can describe them. It'd be a big clear area, and then you would have hydrilla all the way around it. Well, I would just throw past the clear area, get this chatterbait bogged down in that hydrilla, and give it a few quick jerks and jerk it out of there, and it looked like an injured bluegill, and those bass were really wanting to see that. My rod selection on this is a 7'4" Kistler Helium 3, medium heavy action. I was throwing 15-pound Seaguar Tatsu, 7-to-6 gear ratio, Chronart CI4, and this is what getting it done. You know, that high speed is something I really preach a lot, because the longer that fish is in the water, the higher his chances are coming off. And so I like to get mine to the boat as fast as I can. Later in the day, I actually ran into an area that's another really popular community type area, and it's called Chester Frost. And I got back there in the back, and there was a bunch of pondweed mats. And you know, pondweed, for those that don't know, it looks like has a willow-shaped leaf. It can even have a red hue to it, and it actually makes a really nice canopy on it. And it's perfect for frogging, and I love to frog on it. And I was throwing it snack-proof-ish as frog, but I wasn't throwing that white one. I was actually throwing this color right here, and this color is called Fred's. This is one of my all-time favorites. And this particular one I customized just a little bit to, in my opinion, look more like a bullfrog. There are a lot of bullfrogs back in that area. You can hear them croaking on the bank. And so as soon as I heard that, I wanted to make something that I felt was gonna really emulate that bullfrog. And I caught probably 10 bass back in there on this little guy right here, and ultimately ended up helping me save the day and catch 15 pounds on day two. And my setup, of course, for that is a 7'3" Kistler Helium 3 heavy action, 50-pound Seaguar smackdown braid, and a 7 gear ratio Shimano core, high speed once again. And last but not least, on day 2, my biggest fish of the day came on the good old fairy wand, which is becoming one of my favorite rods on the boat actually. And again, just like on Lake Eufaula, that Wacky rig trick worm, man. 8-pound Seaguar Tatsu line, and I'm throwing 15-pound Seaguar Smackdown braid to the top shot of 8-pound Tatsu. And this little guy right here caught the biggest fish for me on day 2 and anchored my bag for 15 pounds, allowing me to finish in 28th place. So I appreciate all you guys' support and help. Thanks for following me. Be sure to check me out on Circuit Breaker as always, MarkDanielsJr.fishing.com, on Instagram at Mark Daniels Jr., on Facebook at Mark Daniels Jr. And I'll see you guys on the next one.